In the world of the Transformers, the Decepticons aren't the only enemies the Autobots have had to face. This week we're looking at the basics on one of the series' first human villains, the cybernetic anti-hero, Circuit Breaker. Circuit Breaker was an original character created for Marvel's Transformers comic book by writer Bob Budiansky in 1985. Debuting in issue number 5, her real name was Josie Beller, a young computer expert who helped design a high-tech oil rig for industrialist G.B. Blackrock. When the Decepticon shockwave attacked the rig, Josie was severely electrocuted, damaging her nervous system and leaving her almost completely paralyzed. Determined to get revenge for what had been done to her, she designed a suit of microcircuitry that replicated the functions of her nervous system, restoring her mobility, as well as allowing her to fly by means of electromagnetic repulsion, to remotely interface with electronic systems, and to fire circuit-scrambling electric blasts. Renaming herself Circuit Breaker, she went on to become a recurring antagonist in the comic. She was an enemy to Autobots and Decepticons alike. Consumed by a pathological hatred for robots, she believed they were all just emotionless machines, and refused to accept that there was a difference between the two factions. As far as Circuit Breaker was concerned, the only good robot was a dead robot. In addition to writing her origin, Budiansky also designed Circuit Breaker's costume, basing her appearance, particularly her hair, on Marvel staffer Janet Jackson. Now, Marvel's arrangement with Hasbro stated that any original character who first appeared in the Transformers comic would automatically be owned by Hasbro, but Budiansky wanted Circuit Breaker to stay with Marvel. So, to this end, before Josie made her first full in-costume appearance under her new identity in Transformers number 9, he requested to have Circuit Breaker appear in another Marvel comic first, so that Marvel, not Hasbro, would own her. At this point in time, the Transformers comic was being written as if it took place in the Marvel universe, and had even featured guest appearances from Spider-Man and other Marvel characters. And though that idea would be abandoned in later years, in these early days, it meant that Circuit Breaker could easily show up in another comic without any continuity conflicts. And so, a month before Transformers number 9 hit the racks, Circuit Breaker made her debut in Secret Wars 2 number 3. This issue, part of that year's big Marvel crossover event, saw the naive, godlike alien the Beyonder take control of the minds of everyone on Earth, as part of his efforts to understand the human condition. When he encountered Circuit Breaker, she explained to him her origin and her hatred of robots, deriding them as soulless mockeries of life. Her words inadvertently caused the Beyonder to realize that by robbing humankind of free will, he had made them lifeless robots too, and he was inspired to release the planet from his control. Circuit Breaker would clash with the Transformers several times over the next few years, at first trying unsuccessfully to get G.B. Blackrock, who had become an ally to the Autobots, to employ her, then working with the government's anti-Transformer military group RAT, before finally going it alone as a vigilante. Often, her attempts to kill Transformers were prevented by other humans who could see how misguided her actions were, but they could never get Josie to see the error of her ways, and realize that she had become the kind of remorseless killing machine she wrongly believed all robots to be. When British writer Simon Furman took over scripting duties on the comic at the end of the decade, he took Circuit Breaker in a new direction for the 1990s. Under Furman's pen, she was convinced by G.B. Blackrock to join his new anti-Decepticon superhero team, the Neoknights, alongside outcast mutant superhumans Lee Gruber, aka the super-strong Thunder Punch, who could enlarge his fists and feet, Katrina Vysotsky, aka Rapture, able to create telepathic illusions, and Hector D'Alonzo, aka Dynamo, who could harness the elemental energy of the Earth itself. On their first mission together, the team were accidentally teleported to Cybertron and found themselves caught up in the Transformers' battle against the monster planet Unicron. Though her grip on sanity began to slip away thanks to the overwhelming terror an entire planet of robots caused her, Circuit Breaker proved instrumental in Unicron's defeat, using her powers to temporarily scramble the Chaos Bringer's circuits, buying Optimus Prime the time he needed to destroy him. The experience left Circuit Breaker comatose, and sadly the series ended before she could recover, though the other Neoknights continued to play supporting roles aiding the Autobots in the final few issues. Following the end of the Transformers series in 1991, Furman and artist Andrew Wildman hoped to spin Circuit Breaker and the Neoknights off into their own series, under the new name Techno-x, a title very much designed to ride the huge wave of popularity that Marvel's X-Men were currently enjoying. While the Transformers comic had officially been declared to be occurring in its own separate universe by the time the Neoknights showed up, this proposed series would have been set in the Marvel Universe, with the team retooled and reimagined to fit the world. Rather than brought together to fight Decepticons, they would have been assembled by BlackRock to combat robots, cyborgs, and other machines driven mad by an alien computer virus that BlackRock himself had unintentionally unleashed upon the world. Circuit Breaker's origin would have been tweaked to replace Shockwave with Marvel's robot supervillain Ultron. Thunder Punch's powers were changed from super strength to being symbiotically linked to a huge gun, and Dynamo was dropped entirely and replaced with a new character named Phase, a supercomputer in human form created by BlackRock. Their adventures in the pages of the Transformers comic would have been retconned away as training simulations projected into their minds by Rapture. But this series was never made. Perhaps because since they first appeared in the Transformers comic, Marvel didn't actually own the Neoknights characters, though they claimed they did in the small print of the last few issues. Whatever the reason, Circuit Breaker and her teammates have languished in obscurity ever since. Marvel have done nothing with her for 30 years, and their ownership of her means that she's been unable to appear in any new Transformers media either, outside of one or two unnamed trademark-skirting cameos. The rights situation has even interfered with other companies reprinting the Marvel comic. IDW Publishing were forced to edit or omit entirely certain issues featuring Circuit Breaker from their classic Transformers collections between 2008 and 2009. When IDW published a continuation of the Marvel comic in 2013, Transformers Regeneration 1, Circuit Breaker likewise couldn't appear in it, and the series instead featured Autobot ally Spike Witwicky taking up her mantle as Circuit Smasher. However, one Transformers series has been able to feature the character by being sneaky about it. The mirror universe of Shattered Glass, which included a personality-swapped alternate universe version of Circuit Breaker so different from the original that she was basically a different character. Where Josie Beller hated machines, the mirror universe Sephi Beller, short for Josephine, was a technology-loving gadget geek and a friend and ally to the heroic Decepticons. When Shockwave was injured saving her life, she was determined to pay him back, and cybernetically modified her own body with Cybertronian technology to become the superhero Emulator, with the power to copy Transformers' special abilities. And unless some pretty big changes happen, that seems like the only way we're going to be able to see Circuit Breaker face off against the Transformers again anytime soon. And those are the basics on Circuit Breaker. Let's start a petition to get her into the MCU. Leave your casting choices in the comments. Like and subscribe for more Transformers history and lore, and if you're able to support the show on Patreon, you can get early access to new episodes.